Have you ever dreamt of studying abroad? Would you like the opportunity to get a degree in the best universities in the United States and in the world, beginning with your studies in Peru? Now you can, without leaving your family or friends. How does that sound? That's right, studying without changing your life, thanks to the Center for Global Education, an international program developed by Usil, the only one in South America that will provide you with first-class learning with which you will be able to expand your horizons. This way you can begin your international studies here in Peru. Crazy, right? If you already want to start your career, follow these steps. First step is to enroll at the prestigious Broward College from Peru. There, after 2 years of study, you will obtain your associate degree. The second step will allow you to continue your studies at any university in the world, mainly in the US, Canada, and Australia. And in just 2 more years, you can get your bachelor's degree. Best of all, you will begin your path to an international education through our strategic partners. That's right, you'll become an international student from day one with all the official credentials. And of course, the classes are 100% in English and taught by American and non-American professors, accredited by partner universities. These are the options we offer. First, you get your associate degree from Broward College, the second-ranked institution of regional colleges in the South. Second option, for those who love business, you can obtain a Bachelor of Global Business from the University of South Florida, recognized as one of the 275 best universities in the world. Choose the option that best suits you. With the Center for Global Education in Usil, a prestigious international degree is more accessible than ever. For more information, have a look at the website www.cge.usil.edu.pe. If you want to go there, your first step is here.
Good afternoon and welcome everyone to our workshop about online teaching strategy. We thank you for your time and appreciate your participation in this event. In a digital learning environment, you often have limited time to make sure that your instruction is effective. No matter your audience, you have to provide maximum value. This workshop about online teaching strategies will help you increase engagement and retention for your students. Please allow me to introduce Dr. Dominique Charloteau from our dear partner, Broward College, who will be giving this workshop. She holds a PhD from George Mason University, a master's degree in educational psychology and education from Louisiana State University, and a master's degree in foreign language and literature from University of Reims in France. She currently serves as a senior professor of education and psychology and as a master and peer reviewer in the Quality Matters program at Broward College. Welcome, Dominique.
Thank you so much, Erica, for the kind welcome and for recapping some information about me. So I am actually going to start the webinar right away by not repeating what you just said. I hope that you can see my screen. Please confirm.
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful. So I have been with Broward College for 19 years now, and I've been working with teachers. I'm part of the teacher education pathway, and I also have been serving as the faculty coordinator for the Center for Global Education for the past 5 years, providing support to them and working closely with them as they offer a very unique program in partnership with Broward College. So Erica already mentioned that information, and I am going to talk a little bit about the partnership and the relationship, and I'm sure that Dr. Moore later on will also provide information about this program. But Broward College and CGE, the Center for Global Education at Usil, have had a long-standing relationship and partnership for over 10 years, which has made it possible for the Center for Global Education to offer an American degree from Broward College right there in Lima. And also, of course, for our Peruvian students to pursue an Associate of Arts degree in Lima without leaving the country. So because of this unique partnership and program, the Center for Global Education employs highly trained faculty who can teach classes in English and who can be credentialed, meaning they can be certified to teach in Broward College's program, international program, using the same credentialing criteria that are applied to BC faculty right here in Florida. In addition, whenever I travel, not currently, but before, whenever I went to the Center for Global Education, and I had the privilege of sitting in on some of our CG faculty's classes, I was always amazed at the variety of teaching strategies that they use. So I was pleasantly surprised to find out that CG faculty actually use a lot of teaching strategies that are expected from Broward College faculty right here in Florida. And those teaching strategies that they use are based on research. They are the best practices for teaching adult learners. So this afternoon, it's my pleasure to showcase some of those strategies so that you can see for yourself. And also, I'd like for you to experience some of the strategies. Since we are remotely interacting, these strategies can also be adapted for remote instruction. So you'll get to experience that. So without further ado, let's move on to our very first activity.
Dominic.
Yes, excuse me.
Sorry to interrupt. Maybe you can put your presentation in a full mode, so in a full screen mode, so we can see just the slide.
Okay, I can do that. The only thing, Erica, is that I have several computers in my office, and when I do that, I can no longer control and have access to my dock at the bottom of my screen. So if you don't mind, I'll keep it this way. This way I can do the various activities. So I am now going to stop sharing my PowerPoint, and I am going to ask you on your laptops to participate in a poll. This activity is called a Wordle. It's a cloud-based activity, and it's using a tool that's completely free. So teachers, educators do not have to pay for this. So let me stop sharing my screen. And in the chat room, by the way, you can find the link to this poll. Okay, so hang on one second. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to go to the poll. So here we go. 1 second. And then here it is. Please confirm that you can see it. Okay, so now in the chat room, the link pollev.com is there for you all the way through Dominique Chart 282. So I'd like to invite you to please copy that link and paste it into a new browser window, and then you can start answering the question. So here's the question. Using one adjective, describe one characteristic of today's students. And we saw somebody already posted, active. So please go ahead, disperse, okay? And keep going. And then as the adjectives come in, you can see that this Wordle is being created. And of course, once the Wordle is completed and the instructor stops the poll, the Wordle, then you can have, as an instructor, a conversation with students about, the themes in the Wordle and tie it to what you're going to be teaching next. So I'm going to give you just a few seconds so you can continue to experience this, and then I'll move on. And I see that you've identified some of the characteristics. For example, today's students are very internet savvy, so they like technology. They like to do several things at the same time. They multitask, they're curious, they're connected, they're demanding, and all of that. And those are all wonderful traits, by the way, that we as faculty can build on. So I'm going to stop sharing that screen, and I'm going to now move on, return to my PowerPoint, and just mention a few things about today's students, which you highlighted in the Wordle. So we said they're tech savvy, they're very social. So they like to collaborate, and they like to learn using different learning styles, and they bring different forms of intelligence to the classroom. So, there are 8 different forms based on Howard Gardner's research. He's a professor at Harvard University in the Department of Cognitive Psychology. And so all of these forms of intelligence have been documented, through research. And our students all have, and ourselves, we have stronger forms. Some people are more logical, and some people are really good with language, and then some, have these special abilities and talents with their body, and so the idea is to exercise those intelligences in the classroom so that everyone can keep on improving, building on their stronger suits and improving their weaker sides. So now I'd like to ask you to participate in another interactive activity using a virtual wall brainstorming application, which is called Padlet. So I'm going to ask you to please go to this URL right there. It's actually in the chat room, and I'm going to stop sharing so that you can see it happening live. So please bear with me, and I will be right back. Let me see where I have so many things open on my screen. Here we go. Can you see it now? Yes?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. So then go to padlet.com/DominiqueCharlot/teaching. It's in the chat, the URL. And then you can, just add your post. Somebody did already, and I'm just going to write something so you can see it in action. And here we go. You see, we already have many different posts. So this is also a great way to create a sense of community and connectedness in the classroom, and to have students brainstorm. So I'm going to stop sharing this and return to the PowerPoint. And just very quickly, talk about the research. So at Broward College, many professors do professional development training. Some of them, have gone through the Association of College and University Educator trainings, because not everyone works in the teacher education pathway. So it's important to keep creating opportunities for faculty to learn about pedagogy, well, rather andragogy. Pedagogy is for K through 12, but how adults learn so that they can think about new ways of teaching students. At Broward College, all of our professors are really experts in, their discipline, and many of them also chunk their lectures, because we know that students remember best what is presented first during the first 20 minutes of class, and then during the last 10-15 minutes of class. And that's based on the work of David Sousa. It's the primacy recency principle, how the brain works, and he did all of his work and research in 2014. And then we use a lot of active learning, which means we create situations for the students to interact with what is taught with peers and the instructor. So they do a lot of discussions, a lot of application. They use technology. They also go out in the community and work on different projects. And I know that the Center for Global Education, the students really have the opportunity to get a lot of that real world learning. I was truly impressed with the various opportunities that are created. Some of the things that I remember were the cuisine, the cooking classes, and the broadcasting, and many other classes which are related to real world situations. And that's the best way to train our future generation, is to give them those opportunities to practice, so that they're ready to, hit the ground running when they begin their career. So we make connections with life experiences and the community. There's a lot of teamwork and group work. We integrate a lot of technology, and real world is, everywhere embedded into what we teach. And then, of course, we adjust instruction based on the needs of the students. So students have different ways they prefer to learn, or maybe they're really interested in something. So we build on that passion. I have a few more examples to share with you, and I don't know if I'll have time to show all of these examples, because there's another presentation after mine. So Erica, do I still have 15 minutes according to my watch? Is that okay?
Yes, we have about 15-20 minutes, absolutely tops. Yeah.
Okay, good. So I am going to stop sharing this screen, and then I am going to show you some other examples of what students do in their classes. So what you can see here is a talking avatar. And as you know, students love technology, so might as well use what they love to get them truly hooked on learning. If I'm going to be engaged, then I'm going to want to do this and apply myself. So this is just a little activity that they do to introduce themselves at the beginning of each semester. So
For 10
there you
years,
go.
7 in Boston, and 3 here in Broward County. I have always taught 10th and 11th grade English, both core and honors. This is also my last class to take before I can finally get my professional license. In my spare time away from the classroom, I teach high school marching band and color guard. I also love to read, play with all 4 of my dogs, sing with the gay men's chorus of South Florida, act in plays, and go for long runs.
So you got to experience this, and it's also a tool that can be used for teaching purposes. You might have somebody who is enrolled in a public speaking class, who might practice, delivering a speech using Voki, or you might have, other projects in other classes. So I'm going to stop sharing this. And next, I am going to show you, let's see, a Tiki-Toki timeline. So this is a tool that allows students to use a timeline to add important information about what they're learning. So in educational psychology, in this particular activity, what they had to do was add all the milestones of development from childhood to adolescence. And so if I click, for example, on more here about cognitive development, then you actually go to the student's presentation about Piaget, and then it moves on to language, etc. Of course, this tool can be used with many, many different subject areas, and students really love it. And that's the part that, always convinces me that I have to keep using this. Since they love it, then they're really going to write the information about the different stages of development. And as they're doing that, they're learning them. So I keep using this tool. I'm going to stop using sharing my screen. And there are other professors also who use that tool. And I am going to share an example of an online scavenger hunt that students can use to see if they know the information that was discussed or that they read about. So for example, they can click on a padlock and they'll see a question. The ability to remember information. Well, it's memory. So I'm going to enter memory and the padlock is going to open. And then I'm going to go to another padlock. And the correct answer here is sensory register. But let's say I just put register. I forgot what the word was. The padlock is not going to open. So then I'm going to have to review my notes to find the answer, and then I get it right. So this is a tool that's really easy to use. It looks very complicated, but it's not. And once again, the students enjoy using that particular tool. So I'm going to share more examples with you. Poplet is a concept mapping tool. So here, what the students did was map out different theories of development, and then it forces them to break down the information into chunks. And it also helps them learn the differences between the different theories and to see the relationships between them. So I know that some professors at CGE already use this tool, Poplet. Then we have, what else do we have? There are flashcards that have that are multimedia flashcards. So you know they can, if you activate it, play audio and so forth, or you can just click on the card and see whether you know the information. So if I move on to this one, I have a definition here, and this would be bodily kinesthetic intelligence, and then it comes up. So these are all good tools to help students transfer what they're learning from working memory to long-term memory so that they can remember it after they're done taking a class with a professor. We want them to remember the information for the long term. So I'm going to stop sharing this, and let me see, do I have anything else to share with you? I think that I pretty much did share everything. So I'm going to return to my PowerPoint. And then I am going to involve you again in a closure activity. So once again, you can use your laptop to do this. And you're going to be going to, let me get this out of the way. You're going to be going to slido.com, and then you're going to type the code 74152. Let me go there myself. So hang on and let me share my screen. And there we go. You should now see it. And the poll is activated. And now what you can do is answer the question. So the first question you see is, what is active learning? So pick one of the options, and I'll wait to see some answers coming in. See up here, we have a little counter on the top right-hand side corner. And as soon as somebody submits an answer, you'll see those numbers changing. There we go. So we already have 2 people, 3 people. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few seconds. And then I can move on to the next question. And those of you who didn't answer question 1, you can still do it in the background. So go ahead now and answer this question. I'm not seeing any answers coming in. Okay, so people are still answering. Oh, you know what? It's my fault. I need to show the results. So now you can see the answers. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to my PowerPoint. Let me see here. Here it comes. And at this time, I am going to, I'm hoping that we are going to be able to have a discussion together just for a few minutes about what you saw and how you felt about the different tools and strategies that I shared with you, or if you have any questions. So I'm going to wait till somebody shares.
So Dominique, it's Paul Stewart. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well, Paul. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you also, and to see that everybody is well and healthy.
So I do have a question. Before I ask it, though, I just wanted to state to the group that you have been so valuable to us faculty at CGE in helping us really turn our classrooms into more of an active learning environment, right? When I first started, I knew sort of one way to teach, and that was to information dump on my students. And thanks to the trainings that you've given us over the years, I've used a lot of these strategies that you've just showed us, and really seeing my students get more involved in the classroom and start to enjoy learning. And so it's been great. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Paul, for the compliment. It's truly been a pleasure to work with CG faculty who are, all very unique and outstanding. And I especially enjoy sharing, techniques and strategies.
Yeah.
So
it shows. It definitely shows. So, hey, my question is, and I've never asked you this before, and I'm really curious about it now because we haven't really spoken since we all went into quarantine. We've been using these tools, and they were all developed for face-to-face classrooms. But you've just shown us that many of these can be adapted to online learning environments. So, would you say there's one or two in particular that are really that really work well using, say, Blackboard Collaborate or Zoom or any other online program?
I think that it depends on the particular school and context. So, for example, right now in Broward County Public Schools, they, of course, normally teach in a face-to-face classroom.
Yes.
And since the pandemic, they have had to make a transition to remote instruction. And a lot of faculty, teachers had to receive, training to do that because it's not what they usually do. Right. So they use Zoom, and they have bypassed all of the security issues. At the college here, there is a Zoom license. I know that we have town halls, on Fridays, and senior administration use Zoom. In the teacher education pathway, we also use the professional version of Zoom because we got a U.S. Department of Education grant, and so that's a common tool. But most faculty will use either Zoom on with a free account, or they will use Blackboard Collaborate because that can be integrated into D2L. We actually used Blackboard Collaborate a long time ago, even before we use D2L. And it's the same concept as Zoom. But personally, I find that Zoom allows me to do more creative things. I find it to be less restrictive in that, I can do some creative breakout rooms. I can do my jigsaws. I can do my thing pair shares and my thing pair squares. I can do all of that with Zoom. And you can do some of that with Blackboard Collaborate, but I find it a little bit more basic.
Yeah,
That's
for example,
how I feel.
Yeah, I tried to use a Kahoot right at the beginning of the semester that I developed, and it didn't work well on Blackboard Collaborate. So do you think some of these would work better on Zoom then?
They definitely do. I mean, for the past, last week and this week, I'm doing trainings with our BC students and Broward County Public School teachers, and all we're using is Zoom. And I'm using all the strategies that I normally use in the face-to-face classroom remotely, and it's working perfectly, as you saw. Here I am in Florida, and you are in Peru, and you're able to experience it without any hiccups without any stumbling blocks. So it works really well.
Good. Thanks again, Dominique.
You're welcome, and good luck, Paul.
Thank you, Paul, for joining us and participating. Paul is one of our full-time faculty. He teaches all the economics classes. He has a master's in economics from Penn State University. I don't know if any of the participants maybe have more questions, would like to add, or maybe share what you normally do in your classes, or if maybe you found something new on here that you would like to get more information from. This is your time to ask. Okay.
You just did such a good job, Dominique. Nobody has any questions.
Well, thank you, Paul. But I would love to hear some comments. Y usted puede preguntar en español. Yo entiendo un poquito. So please feel free to share some comments with me. I would like to hear your feedback. Maybe not questions. Tell me, how did you feel about, the experience of using those tools?
Mm-hmm.
So can I have one or two participants to please tell me? I would love to get the feedback.
Voy a aprovechar que Dominica ha hecho que podamos hacer las preguntas en español. Y quería también preguntarle acerca de cuánto debemos usar estas estrategias en las clases. Digamos,
Sure.
una por clase, dos por clase.
Depende de la clase y del cuánto tiempo un profesor tiene por la clase. En una clase de 1 hora y 30 minutos, yo personalmente utilizo 2 o 3 strategies, ¿cómo se dice, Claudia?
Estrategias.
Ok, con los estudiantes cada clase. So,
Perfecto tu español, Dominique.
¿qué?
Perfecto tu español. Muchas gracias.
Gracias. Yo necesito que practicar.
Todo bien.
Thank you for the question. So, I think it depends on the class and how long the class is, and, the discipline and what other activities are planned. But usually all of these activities are kind of like in the middle of class, because that's the time when students are, they heard your chunk lecture and now they're actually doing it.
Dominic, we have some questions in the chat group.
Oh, okay. Let me
Somebody's asking, can you recommend some apps to make mind maps besides Popplet?
Yes, there's a free tool, which is called bubble.us. So it's bubbl.us. And there's another one which is called MindMeister. So that's MindMeister. But students, they really like Popplet because it allows you to put text, audio, video, pictures, it's multimedia. So they really like that part. Bubble US is more text, and so is MindMeister.
Okay, that's great. Then Renee Bauer is asking, I am using Word and Teams video chat to create a writer's workshop, but I am not sure if this is the best platform. Any idea?
Yes, you could use Google Sites, which is also a free tool. And on there, you could make it's like having a wiki where you can allow your students to collaborate and write online together and edit the wiki. You can give them that permission, and also you can actually build it up so that there are different tabs and different pages. Another tool that I like is called Wix, W-I-X. It's a really a website development tool, but you can also post, you know, anything for your particular workshop or your particular class there, and also give permissions to students to make comments. So those are some of the tools that I would recommend, and they're also free. Oh, but with Google Sites, you need to have a Google account. And so the students, if they don't have one, would have to create one.
Great. Somebody else is asking, Dominic, for what kind of classes would you recommend Flippity?
So Flippity has many different tools, as you saw, but you can really use it for basically any discipline. You know, you can have scavenger hunts, you can have word searches, you can have crossword puzzles, but you can also create quizzes and games, and so it can be used with a lot of different disciplines.
Okay. And then we have, oh, somebody's asking if you can repeat the mind map names again, please, Dominic.
Yes, so there's Mind Meister. Well, you know what I can do, Erica? I can send you that information if you want, but Mind is M-I-N-D, and then Meister, M-E-I-S-T-E-R.
Right.
And then maybe I should put this in the chat room. Wouldn't that make it maybe easier for everybody to see? Yeah, I'll just put it here. So there's MindMeister. Can you see that? And then there's bubble.us. Those would be, you know, some of the tools that can be used besides Popplet.
Okay. Thank you, Dominic. I have more questions. Dominic, good afternoon. I'm Rodrigo Velarde, psychologist. I've been using Menti for the polls and Q&As in class. My question is, how much of these tools would you recommend for a 45 minutes class?
Well, if it's 45 minutes, you're probably going to have, you know, a 15, maybe 20-minute lecture. And then at the end, you're going to have probably 10, 15 minutes for a closure activity. So that puts us at 35 minutes, right? So then in the middle, students are applying the information, and I guess you could use one tool, you know, with a class that's only 45 minutes.
Okay.
And it all depends on how long your lecture is and how long your closure activity is, but I would say one tool. But if you're teaching for 3.5 hours, then, you know, you're going to be able to use more strategies and tools.
Okay. Somebody else is asking, any personal advice to deal with stress while teaching online?
That's a very good question. We have to keep balancing life and work. And right now we are, you know, living something that we've never experienced before. So we have to make sure that we are, you know, not stressed. So I would recommend personally, as you are, you know, experiencing teaching remotely, that you don't try to overwhelm yourself trying to learn all these different tools and strategies. I would just go, slowly at your own pace, try one tool at a time, and then when you feel comfortable with it, then move on to something new. Because challenges can also be exciting, at all ages. Because if we didn't have any challenges, we'd be bored. So, so that would be my advice is just don't feel that you have to do and use all of this all right now. Just go, at your own pace. But the important thing is that you try different things, and then you're going to think about, do I like it? Do my students like it? How can I do it differently? Does it work for what I'm doing? And all of that. And that would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Dominique. There are more questions. Which is the best methodology to teach English online classes to EFL students?
So what is the best technology, did you say?
The best methodology.
Oh, methodology. Okay, so with students who are in the process of learning a second language, whether it's a foreign language or whether, here it's English as a second language, those students need a lot of visual support. And they also need to be taught what is called comprehensible input. So they need to be taught using the language that's one notch above what they know. And then they need a lot of coaching and reinforcement. But the visual support is key, because if they hear a word that they don't know, then they can see it. So with Flippity also, you can create some handouts, or you can just put it in a PowerPoint and work with them. Also with them, I would use a lot of breakout rooms and create some teams. And I would, as the instructor, I would go from one breakout room to the next, listen in and, guide and coach. And then I do a lot of also collaboration activities. And I would have groups who are heterogeneous, who are of mixed levels of proficiency in the language, so that those who are a little bit, have more language skills can help those who are in the process of still acquiring them, and they can interact together and they can learn together, and it's less intimidating than working with your peers versus your instructor, when you're learning a second language, because second language speakers tend to be shy and introverted, because they are self-conscious about maybe their vocabulary or their grammar, or maybe their accent, or whatever is going on through their minds. So it's really important to create this sense of a very supportive and positive learning environment. So when I used to teach, actually, I used to be a public school teacher before being a teacher trainer. And I used to teach English as a second language and also French. And that is how I worked with students who were in the process of learning either English or French. And, using also building slowly on the academic skills and helping them to to be able to, read and being able to analyze what they read and comprehend it and then write paragraphs about it. But it's a very gradual process. And the more they practice, the better they become. Because effort and practice will allow everyone to improve. Obviously, we are all talking, in different languages. So we have had supportive teachers and peers. So that is what I would recommend.
We have one more question, Dominique, before we finish. It says, hello, Dominique. My name is Leticia Gonzalez, and I love to use technology in my class, but talking about online interactive tools, how would you challenge the slow learner and the advanced learner within the same class?
Okay, so, and thank you for that question. I would, we actually had this conversation today with Broward County Public School teachers about differentiating instruction. So in any class, you're going to have students who have different levels of readiness or preparedness. And, some of them are more, as you use the adjective, advanced than others. And then you have students who are still in the process or maybe who are struggling. So depending on the subject, I would recommend a lot of collaborative activities in mixed groups, heterogeneous groups, because then the stronger students can help the students who are still learning. So for example, in math, let's say you are asking the students to solve an inequality. And, one student really knows in a group how to do it, but the others, they start doing it, then they get stuck. Well, the student who already knows how to do it in the collaboration piece, they can say, hey, look, here you made a mistake on your sign. You were supposed to, do this and that. And as students share, they can be learning from each other. And now also with the technology tools, you can have different activities in class for different students. It doesn't mean you have to develop 50 different lesson plans, but you could have centers so that the students move to a center and they use a tool or they do an activity and then they rotate to the next center. And in the process of doing that, you're going to be able, through practice, reach all the learners.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Dominique, for all the answers and for your presentation. It was super useful for everybody, I assume. And thank you, everyone who joined us today for sharing with us that hour of your time. We really do appreciate it. And well, good luck. I hope everybody has a good evening.
Thank you so much, Erica. It was truly a pleasure to see all of you and to share with you. So stay well and be healthy. And until next time.
Until next time. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dominique.
Gracias.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Luego.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dominique.
Thank you, Claudia.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.